This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You're watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
Right, so while Eddie Hearn is over there in Boston to promote the Demetrius Andrade fight, of course this weekend, and of course the entire undercard, and as always, the press come out to interview Eddie Hearn. Yeah, Eddie Hearn's not very popular in America, right? Nobody likes him. Yeah, everybody has an interview with him in America. Now, while he's over there, he reiterated his belief, which was that Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury would be lucky to hit 250,000 pay-per-view buys. Now, if you guys go back to the interview that I did with Eddie Hearn last week, which I'll put in the description box below, of course, and at the very end of this video, if you want to give it a click and watch from there. But of course, I'll play it, that little clipping from my interview in this video here, so hold tight and I'll play that in a second. So 250,000 pay-per-view buys. Now, this is straight after that Wilder said that he believes that this fight will make 2.5 million pay-per-view buys. Yet the biggest fight of his career against Luis Ortiz was what, 1.1 million, and that wasn't pay-per-view. So how is he predicting 2.5 million pay-per-view buys? In addition to that, he believes that he's going to get what, or potentially get $100 million transferred into his bank account. I don't know how big a star he actually thinks he is, but not very big is the absolute truth of it. He needs Tyson Fury to help sell this event. Actually, speaking of which, has this event been sold out yet? It's been on sale, what, 2 or 3 weeks now? Surely it must be, right? I mean, I haven't even looked yet, but surely to God it must be. Surely. But anyway, let me play this little clip for you, and then we'll get cracking on.
Dillian White, it's a tough decision.
I heard that Wilder said that he could make 100 million.
Yes.
From Fury.
Oh, really?
As in, that's going to go into his bank account.
Yes. That is the biggest load of bollocks I've ever heard in my life. That's how I feel about that.
Yeah, exactly.
He also said it could do 2.5 million buys. If it does 250,000 buys, I think they've done extremely well.
Well, so there you go. So that's from my interview. I couldn't obviously play the ones over in America. I don't want no copyright. Obviously, I'm not going to get copyright on my own video now, am I? Well, I hope not. You never know. Now, 250,000 pay-per-view buys is what Eddie Hearn is predicting at best. Now, his thinking is that Kovalev versus Andre Ward did just over 100,000 pay-per-view buys, and of course, Triple G versus Daniel Jacobs did over 100,000 buys as well. So this one will probably make round about the same. In fact, if anything, he's saying that this one will do better than both of those. So those who may get offended by the fact him saying 250,000 pay-per-view buys, why would you be offended? He's saying that this should do better than Kovalev and Ward and Triple G and Jacob. So it's a bit of a compliment, really. But it's interesting, though, that a lot of people stateside, especially the Wilder fanatics, especially the channels of whether they go on, like, I mean, for a long, long time, they were chastising Tyson Fury, you know. He got Klitschko on an off night, and if the rematch had happened, Klitschko would have wiped him out, and Tyson Fury's a big fat slob, and all this kind of thing. But yet suddenly, now he's the best thing since sliced bread. He's the lineal champion. He's this, he's that, and the other. Much like it was with Luis Ortiz as well, right? When Wilder fought Luis Ortiz. People were saying before then, he's really old, he's a drug cheat, blah, blah, blah. Suddenly Wilder fights him, oh, well, Luis Ortiz is the most avoided man in the world. In fact, he's number 2 heavyweight in the world. You know how these people go. But what makes me laugh also is the fact that they say that this is the biggest fight in heavyweight. I'm not too sure how you work that one out, to be honest with you. Tyson Fury, I'm a fan of Tyson Fury, of course, but he's been out of the ring for 2.5 years. He just lost 135 pounds. That's like putting Lomachenko or Mikey Garcia on your shoulders and walking around with him on your shoulders non-stop, even sleeping, for a year. Imagine what that's doing to your inside, for your long-term health. In addition to that, of course, he's had mental problems, of course. It's been well documented. Alcohol, drug addiction, plus he had the British Boxing Board of Control on his back. Many, many different things. And then he comes back and takes on Sylvester Ferry and Francesco Pianetta. Now, for me, because of all the time that he had out the ring, him coming back and fighting this level of opponent, I didn't really have an issue with. I have to be perfectly honest, it was fine. But then to go straight into Deontay Wilder, Might be a bit early. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope Tyson Fury goes over there and wipes the damn floor with him. I really do. But again, you see, all these Wilder fanatical channels are saying how great a fight this is. But I wonder how many of these channels are actually going to go to the Staples Center in Los Angeles to watch this one. Now, when it was first announced and they first released the tickets, I had like a quick look at some of the prices. My God, they are ridiculously expensive. Real expensive, some of them. You're talking like 6.5, 7, 8 grand for some of them. And they're not even like VIP. But there are some cheaper ones, okay? I'm not going to say they're not like $80 and things like that. But after 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks, whatever it may be by now, surely it's sold out, surely. And as I said before, with Deontay Wilder versus Luis Ortiz, that was a 19,000 arena. But yet they can only put 14,000 in there. They couldn't sell it. So of course, Wilder, he needs Tyson Fury. He needs the Brit to sell this event for him. And hopefully it does sell out. Really hopefully that it does. But as I said, how many of these Wilder fanatics are actually going to go there? I wonder. And in fact, I wonder how many of them are actually going to pay for the pay-per-view if they're not going, compared to how many who will probably illegally stream it. For me, I reckon that a lot of these guys are going to illegally stream it. So they talk about like these big fights and what have you, but yet they're just going to illegally stream it. They're not going to put their hand in their pocket. I mean, some of them will, of course they will. I mean, why shouldn't you? You're supporting your fighters, right? But again, I mean, if you ask any of them, are you going to go? Oh, well, you know what? No, well, you know what? It's Los Angeles. I live over here and blah, blah, blah. There's always going to be some kind of excuse. There always is. So why are you going to go? Well, you know what? I got to marry my cousin that weekend and I can't go. There's always going to be some kind of excuse with them. America's a huge country, but yet everywhere is difficult to get to. But yet I'm pretty sure there's going to be a hell of a lot of Brits in that arena who's going to be going. And I'm pretty sure as well that here in the UK, the pay-per-view sales will be more than in America. I wouldn't want to bet on it, but that's just a prediction from me. I don't know. So for Eddie Hearn to say 250,000 pay-per-view buys, that's pretty decent numbers. But when Wilder's talking about putting $100 million in his own bank account, when he's talking about 2.5 million pay-per-view buys, I mean, how much is the pay-per-view? Was that $80 or something like that? 2.5 million pay-per-view buys. If he does, hats off, man. Hats off. Because that is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal if it does that. And I'll be super impressed. Very impressed. But even if it did, it's still not going to top Joshua. I mean, Joshua versus Klitschko, just in Germany alone, that was millions. It was like 6 million. 6 million tuned in to watch Joshua versus Klitschko. When Tyson Fury was supposed to have the rematch with Klitschko at the Manchester Arena, and before it got cancelled, what was about 2-3 weeks before the fight, they hadn't even sold half the arena at that point. But yet this Wilder versus Fury thing is meant to be the biggest thing since sliced bread. In fact, since they had the press conference, I haven't really seen too much about it, to be honest with you. And I think it's because a lot of people realise that Wilder took this fight because he sees Tyson Fury as easy work, as a lot of fighters do. Hence the reason why Tony Bellew was calling him out. Shannon Briggs was calling him out. Antonio Tarver was calling him out. Plenty of people calling him out. And a lot of them were pretty much admitting that if it was like a year down the line, probably not. But Wilder's like, yeah, I'll do it. Well, of course he'll do it, because this is what he's done his entire career. I mean, who goes 40 fights? 40-0. And just doesn't step up. Who does that? But yet these same fans who will defend Wilder and this record, and the fact that he's taken 10 years to even step up to a Luis Ortiz, who, let's be real, on the night of the fight, 1 hour before the ring walk, were talking about pulling Luis Ortiz out of the fight, and Dominic Breazeale and Charles Martin were on standby to replace him because he couldn't pass the medical. That guy. And I like Luis Ortiz. I really do. I've always said that I do. And I hope that he does come to the UK and he does sign this 3-fight deal with Matchroom, even though Matchroom screwed him over, right? According to a lot of people. But if they screwed him over, then why is he willing to talk to them? Amazing, that. But if he does, then yeah, I hope that he gets to fight, say, Povetkin, for example, on the Joshua undercard on April 13th at Wembley Stadium. Or Dylan White. Or I have heard that Ortiz priced himself out of December 22nd. How much money did he ask for? I have no idea. No idea whatsoever. But they're not jumping up and down about it. I mean, for me, I think that's pretty clear that the price that they asked for, they kind of knew. And they accepted that Matchroom weren't going to pay it. So, who knows? But, you know what, that's like another side one anyway. But 250,000 pay-per-view buys is what Eddie Hearn is predicting. And that's not a bad number. It really isn't. It's half what White versus Parker done, because they done just under 500,000 pay-per-view buys here in the UK on Sky Sports. Admittedly, the price difference is different. No doubt about it. But don't forget, there's 5, 6, 10 times more people in America than there is in the UK. So, again, weigh it up a bit. But just based on price, of course. For us in the UK, it's £21, which is about $27, $28 for a pay-per-view. But if you guys are going to have to pay $80, then of course you're talking 3 times the amount. So yeah, it does kind of like balance it out a bit. But 250,000 is not a bad number. It really isn't a bad number. But as I said, a lot of these people who just troll through people's videos and leave negative comments and click thumbs down and run away, these Wilder fanatics, they're not really ones to put their hand in their own pocket and go fill out an arena. Why didn't Wilder versus Ortiz fill out? 19,000. You were 5,000 people short of filling that thing out. But yet Wilder's running around saying it's a sellout. How is 14,000 a sellout of a 19,000? The Staples Center against Tyson Fury is only 21,000. White versus Parker at the O2 Arena is 20,000, so it's 1,000 short of the Staples Center. That thing sold out by about, no actually, I think there's about 50 or 60 tickets left, I think there was. Nothing. So Fury Wilder should have no problems whatsoever. And they've been promoting it here in the UK, they've been promoting it in Los Angeles, they've been promoting it in New York. So it's got plenty of coverage. There's online news channels, such as myself and many, many others who've been talking about this fight. So there should be no reason in the world why this fight shouldn't do quite well as far as numbers go. But for me, I don't think it's even going to hit 1 million. I think it might do a bit better than 250,000. That's just my opinion. It should do. It's heavyweight. People love heavyweight. Now, I know people in America will say, but boxing is not the number one sport. Right, okay, boxing not the number one sport in the UK either. But in America, it never was the number one sport. American football, basketball, hockey, whatever, were always above boxing. Even when Mike Tyson was selling out arenas and making 20 odd million per fight. Way back when. So there's no real excuse as to why this isn't going to sell out. And as I said, I do believe that the Wilder fanatics, they'll talk a lot online, but probably end up illegally streaming it. So they probably won't even buy the pay-per-view. And they're certainly not going to go to the arena. Certainly not. Of course they're not. They're going to sit at home, making sure that they get the views for their fight review. That's what they're going to do. Because that's more important to them than going to the arena and supporting their guy. And yeah, they'll come out with all kinds of excuses. Well, Los Angeles is all the way over there and I live all the way over here. Well, if you really like this fighter, and if you really consider this fight to be the biggest fight in boxing, then somehow you find a way, right? Surely. You know, just you, a bunch of mates, jump in a camper van and take that route down Route 56, whatever the hell. Make a weekend of it. You can get there, it's just laziness, to be honest with you. And you know what? Most people are of that kind of mind as well. People like convenience, so I can't blame them too much for it. But if you're going overboard and creating this whole narrative online of hate, ever since Deontay Wilder has started piggybacking off Anthony Joshua, then surely you should be supporting your man financially, as well as just verbally. Because you guys don't support him in a positive way. You don't talk about him positive. You talk about Wilder and then the others who are avoiding Wilder. But yet Dylan White has been calling for Wilder. Wilder has avoided him. Joshua gave Wilder a contract for $15 million, even though it wasn't about money. It's all about legacy, right? and he refused to sign it. I'm not going to drag all that kind of thing up again, but you know what, let's be real. A lot of his fans, and listen, let's be real, he does have a lot of good fans, he really does. But he has a whole bunch of fans as well that are not really fans. They're there just to hate. A lot of them are a cancer on boxing, to be perfectly honest with you. So 250,000 pay-per-view buys is very, very achievable. Very achievable, considering the size of the United States of America. Because again, you guys say that America is where the money's at, right? So surely an event like this should show that that's where the money is, right? Surely it should show that. And if it doesn't, then quite clearly the money's not in America for boxing. I'm not saying there's no money in America, of course there is, but it's just not in boxing. But as I said, I hope that this fight does more than 250,000 buys. I really hope it turns out to be a mega event, and more importantly than that, it turns out to be a great fight. A fight that we all watch, and we all want to watch a replay of it. Maybe we're all going to call for the rematch, whoever wins, because the first fight was so good. Personally, I think the styles will clash. I think it's going to be a very, very boring tip-tap fight until Wilder detonates at some point. Maybe Tyson Fury will start to slow down, or maybe he'll walk onto a shot in the very first round. Unfortunately, that's how I think it's going to go. I think Wilder will detonate on Fury at some point, and he'll connect. Fury will go down, and he won't get back up again. Or, if he does get up, the referee will put a stop to it, or the referee will put a stop to it controversially at some point in the fight anyway. I'd love to be wrong. I would love Tyson Fury to go in there and chin him. Relieve that WBC title from Deontay Wilder's captivity. Because he's been holding that belt hostage for long enough. Sophia needs to be released. It really does. So hopefully Tyson Fury's the man to do it. Hopefully. But I'm not confident of it. But if I'm ever going to be wrong, please let it be this one. Please. But you know what? 250,000 pay-per-view buys is what Eddie Hearn says. That's not bad. That's not a bad number at all. And for anybody who believes it'll do 2.5 million at $80 a pop, listen, the size of America, it should do it. It should do it quite comfortably. But unlikely. I mean, how many did Floyd Mayweather do against Manny Pacquiao? I have no idea. How many did Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor? A crossover novelty fight, a circus act. How many did that do? Did either of those fights do 2.5 million? I mean, this kind of goes to show the intellect of Wilder. Hey, don't get me wrong. He's a very, very big, powerful puncher. If he stood there in front of me, I would have zero chance, right? He would chin me easy. I don't think his brother could, to be honest. I think I'd probably whoop Marcellus Wallace. But anyway, I think that 250,000 is achievable. 2.5 million is certainly not achievable. But if it hits it, bravo, people. Bravo. So anyway, you drop your thoughts below about it all. Do you think that Wilder versus Fury will hit 2.5 million? Do you think that it would hit that America and UK combined, as both countries are pay-per-view? Bearing in mind here in the UK, it is a 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning job. So it is quite difficult for some people to either stay awake or want to wake up and watch it. Would it make 250,000 combined as well with UK and US? Be interesting. Anyway, you drop your thoughts about it. I've waffled on long enough now. I'm not even too sure what the point of that was, to be honest. But anyway, it is what it is. Click that thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.